the Daily Telegraph, which is a British newspaper. It's titled The Demand for Reparations by African Nation is a Shameless Attack on the Truth. And it's written by a author, Nigel Biggar. He's just released a book. I won't even ask you to go read that book. It's just nonsense. There was a time when the better off flaunted their status by buying mansions and driving fancy cars and wearing top hats. Today, privilege is commonly assumed to be shameful. Western elites is now preferred to sport superior moral status by championing fashionable, in inverted commas, progressive causes. These are the luxury beliefs because they cost the elite nothing while cost others a lot. One such is that of decolonization. And it then goes on, but here's the key part. Now, however, decolonization threatens to become very expensive indeed for exploiting the Western's performative orgy of self-flagellation. The African Union has joined the Caribbean community, CARICOM, in demanding reparations from Britain for its colonial crimes. CARICOM has already submitted its bill of 18 trillion. Let me get your take, because...
Please leave the article up.
Oh, okay. I'll also be minded that the good comrade will want to leave on the hour. So if it does, we'll continue.
Then let him go first on this one. Then
let me bring you back up.
All right. No, this one is an easy one, and I'm glad. No, he's just regurgitating the same column that I forget her name. Unfortunately, paralyzed Don Lemon with when he was still at CNN. You know, I remember watching that interview, and she said, Don was pushing her on the whole issue of reparations. The justness of reparations, whether it's in the United States and Britain for its colonial crimes, and pre-colonial crimes. Mm-hmm. And she said, were you aware that it was actually the British fleet that was stopping the slave ships, intercepting them, and freeing people and taking them to places like Sierra Leone? Did you know that? Of course, Don Lemon did not know sufficient history. So it was paralyzed and ended up being, And then after that, she dominated the conversation.
Comrade Milton, just for those listening who are ever in that situation, just quote Malcolm X. The fact that you put a knife in my back 6 inches and then you pull it out 3. I'm supposed to clap for you?
No, but it's even better than that. It's even better than that. I wish Don Lemon had read Eric Williams' book, Capitalism and Slavery. The British were doing that on behalf of British interests.
Exactly.
Because they had gone through plantation slavery. They used the wealth created by the enslaved Africans on the sugar plantations, the tobacco plantations, to build so much capital that they came up with a steam engine, right? They came up with manufacturing production. So now the industrial capitalists were the ones who are against the plantation owners and saying, wait a minute, we don't want you enslaving these Africans on your plantations. That's very selfish. We want cheap labor in our factories. We want to pay them wages, and then they can use the wages to buy our manufacturers. And that's why they sent their ships to stop slavery, so that they could escalate.
It wasn't altruistic? Is that your argument?
And sadly, Don Lemon had not read this book. So yes, these names like William Lloyd Garrison in the United States, like Wilberforce in Britain and all that, yes, they were important, but they were not the decisive factor. It was the industrial capitalists that said, no more slavery. You're cutting into our exponentially much higher profits that we're making from this type of production.